Hello there, everyone. This is Uncle Dan.
And I'm Aunt Carol. We send special greetings to each one of you listening in today.
That's right. Every boy and girl, every teen, every parent. Well, every adult for that matter. We're just happy you've joined us.
Today's story is about a famous person in America's history.
Well, now let's see if I can guess who it might be about.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
All right. Let's see. Man or woman?
Man.
Okay. Was this man ever a president?
No, but he knew some people who did become president.
I see. Well, did this person live before 1800 or after 1800?
Both.
Both? But how? Oh, I get it. He was alive in the year 1800.
Very good, Uncle Dan.
Why, thank you, Aunt Carol. Okay, then, let's see. What was happening in America about that time? Well, even before that, the American Revolution was taking place, 1775, 76, along in there, right?
Right.
So did our mystery man have anything to do with that?
Yes, indeed. But you might have a hard time narrowing it down much more since there were a lot of Americans who became famous along the path that led to independence.
Well, why don't you give me one hint then? A big one.
Okay, let me think. What would be a good clue? I have it.
I'm all ears.
Well, how about this? He had a famous poem written about him that most school kids read even today.
A poem, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know.
You look like you have it.
I think I do, Aunt Carol. Does the poem begin, "Listen, my children, and you shall hear"?
Of the midnight ride of...
Paul Revere.
Nice going, Uncle Dan. But you know, most people only know about Paul Revere because of that poem. And it gives the impression that the only thing Paul Revere ever did for America was to make that one famous ride.
Why, you mean there's more?
Oh, yes, much, much more. In fact, it's going to take more than one story to tell the tale of Revere's contributions.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So our story today is just the first installment.
That's right. I call it Paul Revere, the Patriot Silversmith. The 1760s and 1770s were an exciting time in America. Some of those living in the 13 colonies were already sixth-generation Americans. Their parents and grandparents, great-grandparents, and their grandparents had all lived on American soil. Needless to say, these folks, along with the newcomers, were beginning to grow restless under the rule of England's King George III and the Parliament. England's representative to the New World was General Thomas Gage, Commander-in-Chief of British forces in America. A good and decent man who believed in conducting himself and his forces within the law, Gage nevertheless became a symbol of America's dislike for English domination. A number of patriots began to emerge who would soon take America to the edge of revolution, and one of those was Paul Revere. Our story opens in the year 1770, and the Revere family has just recently moved into their new home on Boston's North Square.
Sarah, a wonderful meal.
Thank you, dear, but not all the credit is mine. Mother Revere helped me as always.
Now, Sarah, I only shared my recipe.
My favorite, Mother, you know that.
Oh, indeed I do. And Sarah makes it better than I ever did.
I wish. Phew, I'm hot. You know, it's not the kind of weather to be working over a fire, dinner or no dinner.
Deborah, throw open the door, would you? It's suffocating in here. Your mother is about to faint from the heat.
Yes, Papa.
Would you like some tea, dear?
Yes, but let little Sarah fetch it. You don't mind, do you, Pumpkin?
I can do it, Papa.
That's what I thought. She's a big girl already, my dear, and she's only 8. What? 6 bells? I had no idea it was so late.
Papa, tell us the story again about when you used to ring the bells.
Oh, that would take too long tonight. I'm to meet Sam Adams and John Hancock at the Green Dragon in less than an hour.
Let's just say that when your father was just about your age, Paul, well, maybe a few years older, he and his friends formed a club.
Oh, the Bell Ringers Association. How we loved those bells.
Here's your tea, Papa.
Thank you, Pumpkin.
They sent a petition to the rector of North Church, mind you, saying that if he would clear the way, they would ring the bells for the church for 2 hours every evening.
We were quite the group, all right.
Sometimes I think that drawing up the rules and privileges for the members of the Bell Ringers Club was your father's first experience with government.
Well, maybe so, Mother. Maybe so. Self-government. Fundamental rights. All important topics, my children. And now I must be off.
Aw, Papa.
Now, Paul, you know your father has important business to attend to.
Now, you all take good care of your mother while I'm gone. Deborah, you and Paul especially, you're the oldest. Just think, in a few months you're going to have another brother or sister, and your mother needs her rest.
Don't worry, Papa. We'll take care of everything.
Franny, come here, little one.
I'm coming, Papa.
Frances, you be a good girl while I'm gone, and you and baby Mary go to bed like good little lambs when Deborah tells you.
We will, Papa.
That's my girl. Don't wait up, Sarah, dear. I'll be late.
Paul Revere would become one of the best-connected patriots in all of New England. Already he was a member of the Sons of Liberty and other organizations, but more and more political clubs and groups began to spring up. Revere, along with fellow patriot Dr. Joseph Warren, would eventually belong to more of these organizations than anyone else. Several area taverns, which in those days were the principal public meeting places, were often rendezvous points for the clubs. And the Green Dragon Tavern, one of the grandest in Boston, was now the place to which Paul Revere made his way.
Paul Revere! Come over here!
Adams, I'm coming.
Hey, Revere. It's good to see you.
Andrew, and what brings you out tonight?
Well, I have to tell you, Paul, I came to get some of the house stew. The only thing I can chew these days.
Yes, I heard about the fight. Got some teeth knocked out, did you?
One of Gage's redcoats got too much liquor in him and wanted to fight.
Oh,
Guess you know, I can't let an opportunity like that pass me up.
I guess not.
Say, I don't suppose you could wire me up some replacements. Your ad says that you can do that. Wire in a new tooth or two.
Sure thing. You can come on by tomorrow. I'll carve something for you out of ivory that should work pretty well.
Glad to hear it. Well, I see your friends are waiting for you.
Looks like it.
Sam Adams and John Hancock, eh? You boys cooking something up?
You just never know, Andrew. You never know.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow then.
We must be careful in everything that we do to direct the events to our own ends. What do you think, Sam?
I agree, John. At least General Gage pulled his regulars from Boston after the massacre. No doubt, in some measure, a reaction to your engraving of the event, Paul.
Boston came pretty close to revolution at that point. 6 colonists shot at close range by the Redcoats.
And I don't doubt that the engraving did help galvanize public opinion.
Copies were all over the colonies. They even found their way to Europe.
But I'm not happy about your cousin John representing the rascals, Sam. John Adams, supposed patriot, defending the British?
But don't you see? That's the genius of it. We don't want to alienate the moderates, so it's important that we do everything in our power to make sure the offenders have a fair trial.
I suppose, but it still rankles. Anyway, I don't think this thing is going to settle down. We need to be wise and plan ahead.
Well, so far, whenever there's been a confrontation, we've been able to keep the people of Boston informed and give them a rallying point.
Like the silver piece that the Sons of Liberty commissioned you to make, Paul. The Rescinders Bowl?
Yes, a fitting memorial, I must say, to the brave legislators who wouldn't bow to King George's demand that we rescind the circular letter. The letter was valid. The taxes Parliament levied in the Townshend Act on paper and glass and tea and all the rest were nothing less than an outrage.
Yes, but when they finally repealed the Townshend Acts, they should have gone all the way and repealed the tax on everything. We've stopped boycotting English imports for now, but Parliament has seriously misread the situation if they think we don't care about the tax they left on tea.
Or that we don't care about their handing a virtual monopoly to their East India Company to import tea to the colonies.
Exactly. Just another instance of English control.
Indeed. By cutting out the middleman for the East India Company, their chosen agents here can undersell our own merchants.
I know we're all agreed that we need to try to come to some sort of compromise, or rather some sort of acknowledgement on England's part that we here in the colonies have certain rights. And one of those is that we shouldn't be taxed on anything unless we're fairly represented.
I know you're an optimist, Revere, but do you really think England will comply?
They see it as the colonies needing to comply.
We all see it as England needing to recognize us as important citizens, as important as any others in the British Empire.
I see it as a collective responsibility on the part of our colonies to regulate our own affairs.
Exactly right. Public liberty. The rights of individuals, to be sure, but the liberty of a people to determine their own future.
During the next couple of years, tensions between the colonists and England continued to build. General Gage couldn't understand the colonists' resistance to what he considered to be reasonable laws enacted by Parliament. He did perhaps have one advantage in his struggle to reconcile British and American thinking, and that was through his beautiful and very American wife, Margaret.
But, dear, you must try to understand. We Americans don't like to be dictated to.
Dictated to? Margaret, at the moment the colonies are taxed more lightly than any country in all of Europe. These grumblers resist even the most minuscule of taxes.
Taxes levied without any input from us. They are just dictated by Parliament.
Well, think about it. It costs the Crown a great deal to keep the troops here. Where do these people suppose the money comes from to provide for the general safety?
Safety indeed. King George just wants the troops here to enforce his will on us.
Well, be that as it may, they don't appreciate anything England is doing for them. The king has ordered me to make peace with the colonists, but the bullies, all of them, and the Bostonians are the worst.
And I suppose I know who your favorite Bostonian might be.
Well, you, of course, my dearest.
Oh, my love, thank you. But that's not what I meant. I meant your favorite fellow, the famous P.R.
That rascal? One of the most vexing of them all, that sly silversmith, Paul Revere.
Paul Revere and other patriots continued in various ways to uphold the struggle to gain recognition for American self-determination. 1 year from the date that a boy by the name of Christopher Sider was killed when a frightened British customs officer fired into a mob, Revere held a memorial service for the youth at his home. The windows were ablaze, light streaming through them to reveal pictures commemorating American liberty and memorializing the murdered boy. The exhibition was well attended by silent, solemn spectators. And then there were the public town meetings, one of which was called by Patriot Sam Adams in November of 1772.
And I propose that we appoint a committee of correspondents, fellow patriots selected from among our citizens here in Boston, to keep the lines of communication open with the other colonies. We must coordinate our efforts. We must plan and act together to ensure our right to rule our own affairs.
Slowly but surely, the desire of American colonists to be self-governing continued to grow. At the same time, they were tied by family and heritage to the countries of Europe, particularly to England, since they were under English rule and many were of English heritage. It was a conflict that seemed destined to ignite at some point, and yet daily life continued. Sadly, Paul Revere's wife, Sarah, died in March of 1773, leaving him with a household of 7 children, one of them an infant girl named Isana, just 5 months old. A few months later, in September, Isana followed her mother to the grave. However, about this time, Paul Revere was to experience at least one happiness in his life. On a summer's day, as he was walking near his shop...
A beautiful day. Beautiful. Oh, but I better hurry. I've got a busy day ahead of... Oh! I beg your pardon, miss. I'm so sorry. I wasn't watching.
No, it was entirely my fault. I was looking in the shop window and
my windows?
Your windows? You're Mr. Revere, then? Paul Revere?
That I am.
Such beautiful work you do.
Huh.
I admire it so.
Really? I mean, thank you, Miss...
Walker. Rachel Walker. Rachel.
Well, then, Miss Walker, Rachel, I'm in your debt. You must let me make something for you out of silver, some buttons, tableware.
Thank you, Mr. Revere. I would be most honored.
Within weeks, on October 10th, 1773, Paul Revere and Rachel Walker were married. Although she was 11 years his junior, the marriage was a love match. Rachel was devoted to Paul and he to her. As tensions progressed between England and the colonies, the Committee of Correspondence actively kept the people informed. In addition, the various political club meetings, sometimes held in secret, were an essential means of communication. Many were the topics discussed, not the least of which was the ongoing unhappiness over the tax on tea. 3 of the principal actors in the resistance were Sam Adams, Dr. Joseph Warren, and Paul Revere.
So, Doc Warren, what say you?
Well, we know the ships loaded with the King's tea will be sailing for Boston at some point, if they haven't already.
Yes, Joseph, and when they arrive, something must be done. Now, I have a plan.
What plan? Tell us, Sam.
Well, first of all, are we agreed that a reasonable solution will be sought? But that if it is not productive, a protest of convincing proportions will be the only way to capture the attention of the Crown?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Then here's what I propose. We already know that the colonists will resist buying the tea if they must first pay a tax on it, and if England keeps showing favoritism to the East India Company.
True. The ships can just turn around and go back where they came from.
Or they can sit at anchor loaded with tea that no merchant will buy. Or what?
Well, the ships could be relieved of their cargo.
Aha. Excellent. We won't buy it. And of course, no one would approve of using stolen merchandise, but if in protest, the tea
should find its way to the bottom of the Boston harbor,
then that would announce to King George and Parliament that we will not be taxed unless we have a say in it.
Exactly.
But if Gage, or anyone for that matter, would be able to identify those who caused this unfortunate sinking of British tea, then what?
Well, what if they couldn't identify us?
Yeah, just what I was thinking. We must be disguised. Our cause is too important for us to be spending wasted time under arrest. Or worse yet, being shipped off to England for trial, like they tried to do with the men involved with the attack on the Gaspé schooner.
So, what disguise then? I know.
What?
We could disguise ourselves as Indians. That would, after all, be perfectly understood, since the Indian is now a common symbol for liberty.
Brilliant plan, Revere, brilliant. And one more precaution. We should appoint leaders, trusted men who are sworn to secrecy to help us carry out our raid.
And each of these leaders should recruit men to serve with them.
But each group should be known only within their unit. That way, if anyone is detained by Gage's soldiers, or if there be any spies among us, they won't be able to implicate any but those in their own group.
So now we wait until tea time, gentlemen.
Yes, tea time for the patriots of Boston.
And we'll see what King George will do. Hopefully, we'll never need to put our plan into action. But have your men in place. If we act, it must be swift and certain. But no one is to be harmed, mind you, and no property destroyed.
Except the tea.
Exactly. Except the tea.
A few weeks later, in the Revere silversmith shop...
Nice work, son. You're already a skilled silversmith.
Thank you, Papa. Not as good as you yet, though.
It all comes with practice. But silversmithing is a part of this family. Your grandfather was only 12 years old when he was shipped to America, alone, I might add, to make his way. He soon became a silversmith apprentice, and now here you are, a year older than that already.
Sometimes, if you have to be away, maybe I could run the shop.
I think that's a very good possibility.
Great. This is what I want to do all my life. Just like...
Revere! Revere, can we talk?
Sam! Well, of course. Paul, would you please deliver the silver bowl to Mrs. Johnson? I told her it would be ready today. Here it is, already wrapped.
Yes, Papa. Nice to see you, Mr. Adams.
And you, Paul.
What is it, Sam?
As you know, the boats loaded with tea are now sitting in the harbor.
Yes, indeed.
And our esteemed royal governor, agent of the king that he is, insists that the taxes be paid. In fact, the ships have been forbidden to leave the harbor unless and until that tax is collected.
No compromise in sight, then?
No, none. I've called a town meeting later this afternoon. We need to be ready.
Everything is in place. Planning is the key, and we have planned.
Okay, attention! Attention, everyone! Attention! Thank you. As you are aware, 3 ships loaded with East India tea have arrived in Boston Harbor.
Hey, tell them to go back where they came from. We don't want their tea.
Quiet now. That, in fact, is exactly what we've told Royal Governor Hutchinson. But he has repeated his command not to allow the ships out of the harbor until the tax has been paid.
This tax is unfair. Not only does England tax us, they let the East Indian Company sell directly to their agents here in Boston.
Well, with no middleman, they can undercut our prices.
That's right. We merchants can't compete with that. We don't even get to vote on the tax. Taxation without representation.
All right, are we agreed then? We will not pay the tax? All right, then the tax will not be paid. Ready then, Paul? You and your unit?
Oh, yes, Sam. We all know what to do. The captain of each tribe, shall we say, knows his role.
Excellent. And you, Doc Warren, you're ready?
Indeed. I say roll out the lamp black and red ochre to paint our faces. I'm gonna make a fine Indian.
That's for sure, Doc. And here are our costumes.
I can't wait to hear the splash of tea chests on their way to the bottom of the Boston Harbor.
Paul Revere, silversmith, Dr. Joseph Warren, and many of their fellow citizens participated that night, December 16th, 1773, in a brilliant piece of political showmanship. Disguised as Mohawk Indians, the patriots stormed the ships in the harbor that were loaded with chests of tea. And although these ships were surrounded by British warships, no resistance was offered.
Tax us, will you, King George? Well, here's for you. A little tea mixed with the briny sea. Look, here's more. Give me a hand, boys.
Come on, men, under this tarp.
Tally-ho! Over you go!
It's going well, don't you think, Paul?
A highly successful affair.
No doubt King George will hear of this. And Adams, I'm sure Adams is pleased.
We should all be pleased.
Proud. Indeed we should.
I'm going to go get a lock. One was broken by some of our men. It needs to be replaced.
Yes, we have no quarrel with this ship or its property.
Indeed, this is not a protest against order. Rather, we have struck a blow for justice and fair representation.
The last chest goes into the harbor!
At the end of the raid, known to history as the Boston Tea Party, a total of 342 containers, 90,000 pounds of East India's tea had been dumped into the harbor. Almost immediately, a ballad memorializing the event sprang up and was lustily sung on the streets by supporters and no doubt by not a few participants.
Raleigh Mohawks, bring out your axes and tell King George will pay no taxes on his foreign tea.
On his foreign tea.
A Warren's there and bold Revere with hands to do and words to cheer for liberty and laws.
For liberty and laws.
Paul Revere and Dr. Joseph Warren were the only 2 men mentioned in the ballad. But credit for the colonial resistance to English taxation goes to all participants. As luck would have it, General Gage, the commander of British forces in America, was in England at the time of the Tea Party. Soon, Parliament would react with strict new legislation in an attempt to control the colonies, and Gage would be ordered back to enforce them. But for the moment, the taste of victory was sweet in the struggle for colonial self-determination.
Well, Aunt Carol, that was quite a story. You were right. I never realized just how active Paul Revere was in the struggle for American independence.
You're not alone, Uncle Dan. Most people do think of him as just a midnight rider, cape flying behind him as he sped on horseback to warn colonists that the British regulars were on the march. Of course, we still have that part of his story ahead of us.